Debt service, and I mentioned this in the past, really is your mortgage. Okay, your mortgage, your principal and interest, your mortgage on an annualized basis in particular, because NOI is something calculated on an annualized basis. GOI is annualized. Everything is times 12. You get the monthly, just multiply it by 12, and you're going to convert the lingo into this kind of verbiage that we're looking for calculating. Debt service, again, mortgage payment. Your cash flow, okay? Your cash flow is also a very critical term that I want to be clear for those of you guys to understand the difference. Cash flow means the current state of the money that's coming in on a consistent basis, whether that's in a given month or 6 months, or in real estate on an annualized basis, right? So to get the cash flow, the math is simple. You take your NOI, you subtract your debt service, which is your mortgage installments for the year. So let's assume you make $100,000 in NOI a year, okay? That's after all the expenses, your vacancy, all that. And now you have $50,000 in debt service. Your mortgage payment a year is 50 grand. So your cash flow, quick math, is 100 minus 50,000 is going to be $50,000 a year. That's what you're cash flowing. If you want to know your monthly cash flow, your quarterly cash flow, just divide it by 12, by 4, and you'll get that rate. Cap rate. We spoke about this, quick term. Everybody knows what a cap rate is. Hopefully those of you guys are in the business, you guys know this term. It's used a lot. It's a metric that's used to define the condition of a rate of return for a market at a given moment in time, for an asset class too. So to get to a cap rate, you're going to need the NOI, and you're going to need the purchase value or the property value. And the math there is the NOI. You take that annualized income after expenses, but before debt service and taxes, and you divide it by your purchase price. And then you're going to get a percentage. And that basically means that percentage is what your rate of return is. If you bought that property cash, it was $1 million purchase price, it's generating $100,000 in income, you're going to make 10% cap rate, 10% rate of return on that $1 million if you had bought it cash. So that's quick math of rate of return based on a property value and NOI, okay? Cash on cash return. This also is a ratio, it's a percentage, okay? It sounds very similar to cash flow, but it's different in the fact that cash flow is a dollar amount, cash on cash return is a percentage, okay? Know the difference. So cash on cash return is basically you're taking your cash flow, which we calculated a second ago, and you're dividing that by your down payment or the initial capital you placed in order to buy the asset, okay? So unlike cap rate, where you put 100% cash and it gave you a specific rate of return in a percentage, cash on cash return means when you're leveraging your money, potentially leveraging your money. So what do I mean by that? Quick example is, you take a building, it's $1 million. You put 25% down, that's your down payment, okay? Your initial capital equity in it to the deal. That's $250,000 you put down. Let's assume your cash flow for the deal is $50,000 a year, okay? So you're gonna take that $50,000 and you're gonna divide it by the $250,000, which is the only amount of money you actually placed into the deal, right? You didn't put $1 million to buy it, you only used $250,000 of your money. That's your down payment. And then what you're going to get is a cash on cash rate of return of, I believe that's 50 over 250 is 20%. Okay, you'll make 20% on the return on your investment on the down payment you placed. If you take that same math and you said, I'm going to buy it $1 million cash, you would only make 10%. Excuse me, I take that back, 5%. If you take $50,000 in NOI, and you divide it by $1 million that you put into the deal, you'd make a 5% return. So the quick lesson there is, if you lever your money, if you put less down, with the same amount of income, NOI, every year that you're collecting, you're gonna make a higher rate of return or a higher cash on cash return.